Have you ever wondered what the human body can truly endure? What if I told you there are people out there who have survived situations so extreme, so utterly impossible, that science can't explain it? Today, we're venturing beyond the boundaries of what's considered normal survival. We're talking about individuals who stared death in the face and not only blinked, but walked away. Forget about Hollywood action movies. These are real-life stories that defy all logic. From facing forces of nature that would cripple even the most advanced technology, to enduring injuries that would leave most of us gasping for air, these individuals pushed past their perceived limitations and emerged alive. So, grab a seat, get comfortable, and prepare to have your mind blown. We're counting down the top 7 impossible survival stories that continue to baffle scientists. All right, guys, let's dive into the first incredible story on our list, a tale of survival that defies logic and continues to baffle scientists. This one takes us out to the vast and unforgiving Atlantic Ocean, where a young sailor named Poon Lim found himself in a situation most wouldn't dream of escaping alive. Poon Lim was a 23-year-old Chinese steward aboard the British freighter SS Benlamond in 1942. During World War II, the ship was torpedoed by a German U-boat in the South Atlantic. The attack happened fast and furious. The ship sank within minutes. Poon Lim, along with a handful of other crew members, found himself thrown into the churning water. Chaos erupted. Many were dragged under by the currents, never to be seen again. Poon Lim, however, managed to grab hold of a floating piece of wood, but that wasn't enough. He desperately searched for anything else he could find, and luckily, spotted a small 8-foot life raft drifting nearby. He paddled frantically towards it and managed to climb aboard. Here's the truly unbelievable part. Poon Lim spent the next 133 days adrift at sea with nothing but meager rations, rainwater he collected using a makeshift tarp, and the occasional raw fish he managed to catch with a makeshift hook. He battled hunger, thirst, scorching sun, and relentless storms. Most experts agree that surviving such an ordeal with such limited resources shouldn't have been possible. On April 5, 1943, after over 4 months at sea, a near-skeletal Poon Lim was spotted by Brazilian fishermen near the coast of Brazil. He had lost a significant amount of weight and was severely sunburned, but he was alive. For our number 6 spot, we delve into a story that will leave you gasping for air. This tale of survival takes us underground, where a young flight attendant named Vesna Vulovic found herself trapped in a horrific situation that defies all logic. Vesna was a 22-year-old flight attendant working for JAT Yugoslav Airlines in 1972. While flying over what is now the Czech Republic, a bomb detonated on board the plane, causing it to break apart mid-air. Miraculously, the tail section containing Vesna remained relatively intact, plummeting over 30,000 feet, almost 10 kilometers, before crashing into a snowy mountainside. Against all odds, Vesna was the sole survivor of the crash. Rescue workers found her unconscious and severely injured, strapped to her seat in the wreckage. She had suffered a fractured skull, several broken vertebrae, and internal injuries. Medically speaking, surviving such a fall and the subsequent exposure at such high altitude was considered impossible. However, Vesna defied the odds. She slipped into a coma for several days, but eventually woke up and began the long road to recovery. The doctors were astonished by her resilience and her ability to overcome such devastating injuries. To this day, Vesna's survival remains a medical mystery. Some experts believe that the specific way the plane disintegrated and the angle of the fall might have played a role in cushioning the impact. Others speculate that Vesna's young age and overall fitness contributed to her ability to endure such extreme conditions. Now, this time, we're venturing into the icy grip of nature, where a young woman named Anna Bagenholm found herself in a situation that would make anyone shiver with fear. Anna, a 19-year-old medical student in Sweden, was enjoying a winter camping trip in 1999. Everything seemed like a normal winter adventure until disaster struck. Anna accidentally fell into a lake and became trapped beneath the ice for a staggering 40 minutes. By the time rescuers were able to pull her out, Anna's body temperature had plummeted to a chilling 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit, 13.7 degrees Celsius. Most experts agree that at this core body temperature, death is inevitable. Her heart had stopped, and she showed no signs of life. However, against all odds, a team of dedicated medical professionals refused to give up. They employed a revolutionary technique called extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO, to slowly rewarm her body while providing oxygen support. After hours of intensive care, a miracle happened. Anna's heart began to beat again, and she slowly regained consciousness. Doctors were astonished by her recovery, considering the extreme length of time she spent submerged in freezing water. For our fourth story, we shift gears from the icy depths to the scorching heat of the desert. Here, we encounter Mauro Prosperi, an Italian marathon runner who found himself in a situation most wouldn't dream of surviving. Mauro, known for his incredible endurance, was competing in the 1994 Marathon des Sables, a grueling 250-kilometer ultramarathon across the vast and unforgiving Sahara Desert. During the race, due to a combination of factors like a sandstorm and a navigational error, Mauro became separated from the main group, lost and alone, with temperatures soaring well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. Mauro faced a terrifying fight for survival. Days turned into nights, and with limited resources and battling the relentless heat and dehydration, hope began to dwindle. Search crews scoured the vast desert landscape, fearing the worst. Mauro, with only a few energy gels and the clothes on his back, had to rely on all his experience and sheer willpower to survive. After a staggering 9 days lost in the desert, a miracle happened. Exhausted and hallucinating, Mauro was spotted by a Bedouin nomadic family. Here's the crazy part. Despite being lost in the scorching Sahara for 9 days with minimal water and food, Mauro somehow managed to survive. For our third story, we head underground, not to explore some dusty cave, but deep into the heart of a working mine. Imagine this. You're deep underground, digging for shiny rocks all day. It's dark, dusty, and hot, but that's your job. Suddenly, the ground rumbles. Everything shakes, and tons of rock come crashing down. You're buried alive. This wasn't a nightmare for 33 miners in Chile back in 2010. This was real life, and it was terrifying. They were stuck hundreds of feet down with darkness all around. No food, barely any water, and no idea if anyone knew they were even alive. Panic clawed at them, but these miners were tough. They had to be. They rationed their tiny food and water supplies, hoping for a miracle. Topside, the world went crazy. Rescue crews scrambled, drilling day and night, praying to hear a sound, any sound, from below. Then, after 17 days, a faint tapping echoed through a drill shaft. A note, shaky but hopeful, emerged. "We are alive, all 33 of us." Cheers erupted around the globe, but the real fight wasn't over. How do you get these guys out of a hole that deep? Engineers raced against time, building a special rescue pod. Finally, after 52 agonizing days, the first miner emerged, blinking in the sunlight for the first time in weeks. One by one, each man was pulled to safety in a rescue mission that had the whole world watching. Coming on to number 2 on our list is Ricky Meggy's survival story. In January 2006, Ricky Meggy was driving through the Northern Territory of Australia. He was on his way to a new job in Western Australia. On the road, he met some men who said they needed help because their car had run out of gas. Ricky decided to help them and gave one of the men a ride. Ricky later said that these men drugged him. When he woke up, he found himself in a shallow grave. His car and all his things were gone. He was alone in the middle of the Tanami Desert, a very harsh and empty place. Ricky had to use his survival skills to stay alive. He built shelters from branches and leaves to protect himself from the hot sun during the day and the cold at night. He found small pools of rainwater to drink. For food, Ricky ate whatever he could find. This included leeches, grasshoppers, frogs, and plants. He lost a lot of weight, over 130 pounds, during his time in the desert. Ricky kept moving and looking for help. He left markers to show where he had been. After 71 days, a group of workers found him near Catherine in the Northern Territory. They took him to Darwin for medical help. A doctor confirmed that Ricky's condition matched his story of surviving in the desert. Ricky wrote a book called Left for Dead, where he shared his amazing story. His tale is a powerful example of human strength and the will to survive against all odds. Now, last but not least, coming on to number 1 on our list is one of the most horrifying real-life survival incidents is the story of John Edward Jones in the Nutty Putty Cave. Imagine this. You're exploring a cool cave with friends, crawling through all sorts of twists and turns. Then, you see a tiny opening that looks like a shortcut. You squeeze headfirst in, thinking it'll be a quick crawl. But instead of popping out the other side, you get stuck. This isn't a made-up story. In 2009, one of the most horrifying real-life survival incidents unfolded in Nutty Putty Cave, Utah. John Edward Jones, a young and adventurous medical student, embarked on a spelunking expedition with friends. The cave, known for its tight passages, was a popular destination for thrill seekers. Little did John know, this seemingly innocent adventure would turn into a fight for survival that would end in tragedy. John and his companions were exploring a section of the cave called the Birth Canal, a narrow passage requiring careful maneuvering. John, eager to explore further, decided to enter a small, unmapped opening. Believing it was a shortcut, he squeezed headfirst into the tight crevice. However, what seemed like a small passage turned into a deadly trap. His body became wedged upside down, his weight preventing him from pulling himself back out. Panic undoubtedly set in, as John realized the gravity of the situation. Rescue efforts were launched, but the cave's narrow passages and John's precarious position made it nearly impossible to reach him. After 27 agonizing hours, John tragically passed away trapped within the cave. The story of John Edward Jones serves as a stark reminder of the importance of safety and proper preparation when exploring caves. It highlights the dangers of venturing into unmapped territory and the importance of respecting the limitations of your body and the environment. John's death ultimately led to the permanent closure of Nutty Putty Cave, a haunting memorial to the dangers that lurk in the darkness. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these incredible survival stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an amazing story. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next video.